Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Elyria City Council meeting for January 3rd, 2023. At this time, I take a moment of reflective silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. So we have Miss Kimberly Ashton. She's the Assistant Senior Patrol Leader for 1122 of American Post Legion Post 12, Scouts BSA Girl Troop 1122. Would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Ashton. Mr. Clerk, can I have roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Callahan.
Here.
Mr. Sierra. Here. Mr. Oswald.
Here.
Mr. Corbin. Mrs. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Tollett.
Here.
Mr. Lippian.
Here.
Mrs. Davis. Mrs. Simmons.
Here.
Mr. Schneider.
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
We have 9 present. We do have an excuse for Mrs. Davis, and Mr. Corbin. Mr. Corbin tried to call in a couple times. I think Mr. Lippian tried to get a hold of him, so we're not sure what's going on there, but if you want to consider him excused.
Yes. Can I get a motion for both?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Sierra, second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Public hearings?
There are none.
Approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Mitchell.
Second.
Second by Mr. Snyder. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Remarks and reports from city officials. Mayor Whitfield.
Thank you, Council President, and good evening, the City Council members, and good evening, residents. Tonight, we have a couple reports. One is welcoming our new Safety Service Director to his first day and first council meeting, and I'll say in a while. As many of you know, Matt Lundy served in the mayor's office years ago, so he's no stranger to City Hall. But also, you'll have a report from Assistant Safety Service Director Don Calvert, who will be reporting out on a couple of items, one of them being the storm and how the city fared with the storm. But before they present, I just want to wish us all a great 2023. This is a critical year for the city. We still have unprecedented opportunity in front of us, as well as unprecedented threat. We have a unique opportunity to make some transformational investments in our city that will last for decades. And I believe history will judge us on what we did during this moment. And I look forward to continuing to work to engage you all as council members as well as our residents on how we might meet this moment in 2023. And on the other hand, we have a critical safety levy that we need to pass this year that protects our first responders, which are protecting our residents. And again, I look forward to working with you all to help us get this levy issue passed, which again will keep our finances healthy, retain our police and firefighters, and help keep moving the city forward. Lastly, I want to invite you all to the MLK program on January 16th. We'll begin the day with our traditional commemorative march from here at City Hall at 10:30. We'll march over to Elyria High School by 11 o'clock, and we'll use this opportunity for during the MLK program to kick off our comprehensive planning effort with MS Consultants and a number of community partners. This year's format is going to be a little different, and I encourage all you residents to please participate, come for the march, and also come. This will be an opportunity to learn about issues that our city is facing, as well as get input from you all on what you want to see for the future of Elyria. So again, this is on Monday, January 16th, starting here at City Hall at 10:30 and kicking off at Elyria at 11. And there'll be many more opportunities outside of that day to engage and provide your feedback, including an online survey that will be launched that day as well. But wanted to make sure I invited you all as well as the residents to that event. And with that, I'm open for any questions.
Any questions for the mayor? Thank you, Mayor. Safety Service Director, Mr. Lundy. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. It's good to be back in the city of Elyria. Someone once said, choose a career you love and you'll never have to go to work. And I really believe in that. I greatly enjoy public service. You know, I left the city of Elyria back in 2007 for what would be a 16-year journey as an elected official. I always told people during those years that if I never got elected, I would have loved to still be working for the city of Elyria. It was good seeing so many folks today as I made my way around City Hall, folks that I'd worked with before. Have to admit, a lot of our hair looked a little different. I remember darker hair back then, but I always said some of the most professional and friendly folks you'll ever meet work for the city of Elyria. Government is certainly a people business. I look forward to working with you to make sure that the residents you represent get the services that they expect and need. Knowing most of you on council for quite some time, the residents are very well represented by dedicated and passionate public servants. I know that we will work very well together. I want to thank the mayor for his confidence he's placed in me. I will show up each day dedicated to moving this city forward. I always say that we're stronger when we work together. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Lundy. Again, welcome to the city again. Any questions for Mr. Lundy? Mr. Lippian?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President. Mr. Lundy, I also wanted to welcome you back to City Hall. You've been a very patient man. I know you've waited about a decade, but you finally got that promotion from assistant to safety service director. In all sincerity, I just wanted to thank you and say that I got a chance to witness your leadership through the Lorain County for Ukraine Committee, where you put together so many dedicated public officials to take care of Ukrainian refugees fleeing Russia's bombastic, evil destruction. And many of those refugee families now live in Elyria, and that's because of your leadership and effectiveness. And I know you'll bring that same leadership and effectiveness to your role here at City Hall. So welcome and congratulations. And the First Ward is looking forward to working with you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman.
Any other questions? Finance Director Pulaski.
No report at this time, Mr. President.
Law Director Deary.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report. Just want to wish everyone a happy 2023.
Very good. Elyria Police Department, Chief Pelko. Any questions for the chief? Mr. Gillette.
I'll wait till the chief and his outstanding beard get to the podium.
It is a nice beard. Happy New Year.
I have two questions. The first one, the governor signed into law a bill today regarding texting and driving or using a cell phone in driving. Could you elaborate? I know it's brand new. Could you elaborate on what you know? Then I'll follow up with my next question.
Sure. From what I know, it's going to make it a primary offense for the police to pull you over if they see you on your phone, texting, dialing your phone. I think there's like one exception if you have like your phone just up to your ear or something, but I don't know the specifics of it yet. I got to dive into the law, but it'll be a primary offense. If we see you on your phone texting, we'll be able to pull you over.
Thank you. And my second question, the state of Ohio, and it went into effect recently, is guns in the classroom by school teachers. It's my position that we as a city council at some point, and I will send for referral to committee to send a resolution to our city school board. The cities, almost all of them, their school boards have passed an ordinance or passed that they will not support guns in the classroom by teachers. The FOP came out very adamantly, publicly against this new law. The training was reduced from 700 hours down to 24 hours for teachers to have guns in the classroom. And I wanted to get, if you can make an opinion on this. And please, as I stated earlier, if you can't make an opinion, don't make an opinion.
I'll give you my personal professional opinion, and I don't think the guns should be in schools. I think if you were going to do something like that, you would need to dive in and get some training hours for these teachers. There's a lot that you would have to do to make that work, and I don't know if that's possible at this point in time. There would be a lot of legwork that you'd have to do to make sure that everybody's properly trained with the firearms. And with that said, as of right now, I would be against it.
Thank you.
Ms. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, Chief, just a point of clarification. I believe, and I could be wrong, that the law that Governor DeWine signed into law today is for distracted driving. It's not just texting. And as I said, I could be wrong, but I think it's, even if you have your phone up to your ear, that's distracted driving. You can have your earbuds in, but like I said, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm not totally 100% positive on the law. I didn't get a chance to read everything on it yet, but it is distracted driving. And like I said, there was one exception I think they had. It might have been the earbuds. I'm not sure what exactly it was, but there is a certain one exception.
Okay, very good. Any other questions for Chief Palco? All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Elyria Fire Department, Chief Pernesti.
Good evening. I just want to give you a little bit of an update about the storm. We were exceptionally busy from midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning when the storm hit on the 23rd to probably around midnight on Christmas night, Christmas Day, the 25th. We ran 88 calls, 5 structure fires. One was in Oberlin. The rest were here in the city. And with that, we also ran a lot of water calls because of the freezing temperatures, how cold everything got. We were responding on lots of water lines, bursts in apartment complexes and in homes. And the one thing that I found out that, you know, I've mentioned this before, but we have to do better. If you talk to your landlords of your wards that own apartment buildings, we have to do better in getting emergency contacts. We had several, you're talking bitter cold temperatures, and we could not get a hold of emergency contacts for a lot of apartment complexes in the city to let them know we're shutting the water off. And a lot of times we ran into some times where we had to wait to try to work with lodging for those residents. And it's the holiday, I get it, they weren't around, but we still have to probably do something as a city a little bit more stringent in mandating some good contact information from our hotels, motels, and apartments. We did not respond on a lot of NVAs, motor vehicle accidents, with injuries. I don't know what toll was for non-injuries, but I want to say that we probably responded. That was not anywhere near the bulk of our calls for emergencies. So people stayed off the road, and we didn't have that problem, thank goodness. So just wanted to give you an update. We did have a plan in place if we had a large loss of power. It's more of an emergency too. So if anyone asks, it's no different than if we were to have an evacuation of a large group area because of a hazardous materials release or a large gas leak. Those plans were put in place, and those are different than a warming center. This is more of an emergency, get you into some shelter without any real necessities. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Mr. President, I just want to make a comment. I was so against having rental registration fees for people that own houses and they rent them. The idea was to get a list in case they needed to get contacts. Here again, we have something in place that could have been really good and still it's not working. So what good are having some of these things like that we're paying for if we're signing up for our rentals? Because, it's a great idea if that's how you get the contacts. You say that you own this house, or this building, or that building, and then there's a contact on there, and it's an easy way to get a hold of you. Of course, the good ones are signing up and doing it, and the bad ones aren't. Okay, so we've got another law or anything in place, and it's not working. So it needs to be figured out. You're right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other questions for Chief Pernesti? Mr. Callahan?
Thank you, Mr. President, through you. Chief, 2 weeks ago, you stood at that same podium and you told us in regards to the new radio system that was going to go through the county and the county commissioners. I do see that it passed. So if you could just give us a review about the timeline going forward.
Yes, thankfully it passed. Thank you to the commissioners for doing that. The timeline, I believe there has to be some legislation from each city or township. Once that is taken care of, they'll start ordering, and we're going to be the biggest recipient of the radios and portable radios. When I talked to the gentleman from Cleveland Communications, my guess is probably I wouldn't hold my breath until maybe June. I would say maybe things would start to happen by June as far as seeing some of the upgrades and the radios themselves coming in. I hope it's earlier, but if I had a bet, that's what I would bet on.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions for Chief Pernesti?
It's going to help the city, it's going to help your firefighters, and it's going to help the citizens too, so it's a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Assistant Safety Service Director, Ms. Calvert.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President. First off, I wanted to respond to Councilman Oswald's comments about the rental registration. Chief Pernesti and I did have a conversation about that today. Actually, we're going to be doing kind of a post-storm recap of what went well, what we might be able to do better, and we will be looking into that rental registration to understand exactly what is working about that and what might not be, what we need to do better. The emergency contact information, as Chief Pernesti mentioned, is a problem, and one that we need to, address in the best way possible. So we will be looking into that and have more information hopefully soon for you. Regarding the storm, we really have to thank the city staff for the outstanding job they did with the storm, and that is just about every department you can think of had some role in preparing for that storm or mitigating the outcome of that storm that hit on December 22nd. So as you know, this storm was a little different. This wasn't just a snow event we were looking at. We were looking at the extreme cold, the extreme wind, and then slick road conditions. So the combination of which on a holiday weekend were could have been a lot worse than what they ended up being. And we have to thank our departments for that. Specifically, the streets department, they worked really hard. They had crews out for 24 hours starting at 1 a.m. that Friday. We had drivers from multiple other departments that pitched in to help out so that we could get the secondaries started within 8 hours of the storm. The salt was rendered, I'm not going to say ineffective, but definitely challenging just because of the extreme cold. So we had a strategy in place for that to try and time it just right, make sure we got enough salt down, enough people on the roads to follow up and plow, and make that as impactful as possible. So we actually had a crew come back in at 4 a.m. on Christmas Day so we could ensure that all those traveling on Christmas Day could be as safe as possible. that holiday weekend. So we were able to, sanitation ran on Friday. It was a little bit slower than average, but they were still able to run, so that was great. And then we were in frequent communication throughout that entire period with fire, with police, with First Energy to really monitor the situation, make adjustments as we needed. So one of the things that happened as a result of that communication was we ultimately decided that there did need to be a warming shelter opened. So we were able to do that through the very accommodating on short notice to get that opened. So we were able to communicate that through the WEN system and also through social media for anybody who needed that warming shelter. In total, there were about 200 customers without power in the city of Elyria, which is a lot, but it was a lot less than our neighbors to the north in Lorraine. So that wasn't as bad as as Chief Pernesti mentioned, we had plans for a massive power outage, but we didn't need to implement that. And the good news was First Energy was able to resolve almost all of those power outages by Christmas Eve. So they were able to respond pretty quickly, given the conditions. So I did not receive a single report of Santa being delayed, so I think that overall was a success for that weekend. And I don't know if anybody has any questions specific to the storm before I move on.
Any questions in regards to the storm? Mr. Oswald?
Just real quick, in the past, we usually got an accounting of how much we're spending for salt and prices of salt. Do you know, are they going up? Are they going down? Where do we stand? Thank you.
I do not have that offhand. I can get that for you. It's my understanding, though, we've had limited need. 65 degrees on January today. We've had some mild temperatures, so I think that we are running below what we had projected and that we had some pretty good stockpiles stored up as well. So I can get you that information.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, the next thing I wanted to share was regarding the MLK Day event and the land use plan. As the mayor mentioned, we are kicking that off for public feedback at the MLK Day event. So there will be an event there for the community to participate in. So we'd like as many people as possible to attend that and be able to give their ideas and thoughts about the future of the city of Elyria and where the direction we should be heading and some of the challenges that they're facing, as well as some of the positives that are happening in the community. I do want to clarify that there will be a lot of additional opportunities throughout the course of 2023 for the community to participate in this process. So while we are kicking it off and we want to get as much public input as we can, we recognize that people may not be able to attend on MLK Day. So there will be an online survey. There will be a website for this effort. There will be an online survey available on MLK Day for the community at large. So for all of you, everyone in the audience, to be able to participate in that and provide comments. And then there's some fun examples of how we've gotten some input that's a little less formal, but very engaging. If anyone was at Finwood the week before Christmas, we actually had a winter pop-up board there that had little bubbles where people could put in, what would you give Elyria the holiday season? So people could, as they were standing in line for Santa, they could, pencil in that they wanted a nice bakery downtown or more daycare, whatever, is top of mind for them. They were able to put that in there. The last thing I have, to Councilman Callahan's point, is I would like to make a referral off the floor for the appropriate committee for the matter of entering into a contract with Cleveland Communications, Inc. for those radios.
So Ms. Cover did contact me today, so she's doing that as a referral on the floor over here. And I would say that would go to Utilities and Finance, I guess, if that would, for a joint committee over and through. So I know that Utilities or Finance meets on the 9th, and then Utilities is on the 11th. Is that correct, Ms. Mitchell? So I would say if that gives you enough time to pull something together, Ms. Calvert, for that, we're welcome to do that. I know time is of the essence for that, so if you can gather everything together and try to give as much information to council members as you can, it'd be greatly appreciated.
I will be able to do that. Thank
All right.
you.
Any other questions for Ms. Calvert, or do you have anything more, Ms. Calvert, to talk about? No?
That's it. That's my report.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Mr. Corzan, Superintendent of Wastewater. Okay, very good. Thank you. President's referrals and remonstrances. Item number 1, Finance. Item number 2, Finance and Utilities. Item number 3, Finance and Utilities. Item number 4, Finance and Utilities. Item number 5, Finance and Utilities. Item number 6, Finance and Utilities. Item number 7, Finance and Utilities. Item number 8, received and placed on the clerk's office. Petitions and remonstrances from the lobby.
There are none.
Mr. Clerk, I'd like at this time have Ms. Lee Day come up. Ms. Lee Day is here to talk about the American, I guess I want to say it's at the same post, Legion over there, in regards to Ms. Grabkowski.
Yes.
For the rescue.
Thank you, President Stewart. We are very honored in the city of Elyria tonight to share with the community that one of our own is being recognized by the Boy Scouts. If I could have Jim Vanderpool from the Lake Erie Council of Boy Scouts of America come forward, and Jesse Grabowski, Ariana, and I'm looking for our post commander, Manny, the post commander for American Legion Post 12. As many of you know, American Legion Post 12 has hosted Boy Scout troops for almost 100 years, over a long time anyway. It's a technicality where, like, one year they didn't renew on time, so it's kind of anybody's guess, like, if they would have been on time with that 1 year. But anyway, so a number of years ago they started a troop for girls, and Jesse Grabowski stepped forward, and those of you involved with the Elyria City Schools knows that he volunteers a lot in a lot of ways. And so it was no surprise that he did that. And he was out hiking with his daughter, and let the Boy Scouts take it from here.
Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you today. On behalf of the Lake Erie Council and the Boy Scouts of America, we're here to celebrate an action that Mr. Grabowski did back in the pandemic time. He was hiking. There was an emergency situation that required immediate first aid and calmness, which is one of the things that one of the basic motto of the Boy Scouts of America is to be prepared. And Jesse was prepared. He was calm. He got on the cell phone. He stabilized the young lady here that was injured, calmed her, calmed the people that she was with, calmed his daughter, who is also. And because of that, she's here and she's walking, and she's joining the Navy. So what I have here is called the Certificate of Merit, which is for Jesse. I also have for Jesse, in the Boy Scouts, especially the adult leaders, we have recognitions. In the military, they have ribbons. In the Boy Scouts, we have knots. So I have a knot to present to Jesse. This is one of the few things in the Boy Scouts of America that you cannot earn. As you know, young people work on merit badges. They do service projects. They do a lot of amazing things to earn the rank of Eagle Scout and other things. There's conservation awards, but this one here is a red knot with a white border, and that signifies saving a life. This is not something you can earn. It's something you're awarded. So it's my great pleasure. This is something that will be on his uniform. And most importantly, because you don't see this not very often, he's going to have to tell that story, which is going to inspire Scouts for future generations.
Good.
So.
Very good.
Ariana has a few words she'd like to say.
not a very good public speaker, so bear with me. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ariana Adkins. My Navy pals actually call me Cliff Diver, so I answer to either. So without Jesse Grabowski, I could have been a name on an obituary or a tragic news report about a 20-year-old falling off a cliff and not making it. June 2nd, 2020 was mostly a normal day for any other normal person, but for myself, my family, and for Jesse and his family as well, it is definitely a day we will never forget. I had just sworn into the Navy DEP program April 21st, so I was with the high hopes of becoming an aviation rescue swimmer. I was getting ready to ship out for boot camp, and I figured, what's one more day of getting out in nature instead of going to the gym? There isn't much I remember about after the fall due to the shock that set in, but the crazy thing is I remember the entire encounter I had with Jesse and his daughter. Jesse had seen me struggling to get up. He had asked if everything was okay, and he knew it wasn't, so he started coaching the other two people who I was with, telling them what to do. I was placed against what felt like a rock, and I remember having tunnel vision, and all I could see was Jesse's face. He had asked all the questions he could think of to help the rescuers know how to take care of me once they had arrived. Even during my emergency surgeries and my rehab, Jesse continued to check up on both myself and my family. Because of Jesse's actions to help a random stranger in distress that day, I am actively re-enlisting into the United States Navy. After a lengthy list of waivers and clearances, I will finally go back to the Military Processing Center February 25th and choose the job I want to pursue. In my opinion, there could not be a better candidate for this recognition, and the Boy Scout Troop 1122G could not have a better Scoutmaster. Thank you, Jesse, for everything you've done for me and for the community.
At this time, Mayor Whitfield has a proclamation if he wants to come up, and if the whole group wants to come up, stand up here on the elevated floor up here in front of us and face out to the audience, that'd be great.
Thank you, Council President. As you all are coming up, I just wanted to thank you, Jesse, for your leadership, your heroic acts. When I heard of the story, it reminded me, as a person who of faith, who always thinking about the Bible, the story of the Good Samaritan, who's on their own path but sees someone hurting on the side and uses the resources that they had and to be there to help someone out. And so it's a true testament to and a reminder to us of our responsibility to one another as Illyrians, as Americans, and we should look out for one another. And sometimes that's taking a little step off of our own path to help someone out. So thank you for that. And I got a proclamation here I'm going to present you with.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Those are the feel-good stories that we all enjoy to hear about. So thank you, Mr. Grabkowski, for your efforts. Good luck to you, the young lady, on her career. Petitions and remonstrances of council members.
There are none.
Reports of standing and special committees.
There are none.
Resolutions first reading.
There are none.
Resolutions second reading.
There are none.
Resolutions third reading.
There are none.
Ordinances first reading.
There are none.
Believe me, we do work. Ordinances second reading.
There are none.
Ordinances third reading.
There are none.
Committee calls.
Community Development, request the Law Director, Safety Service Director, Building Inspector, and Engineer on Monday, 1/9, beginning at 6 p.m. Items referred. Joint CD Finance, request the Mayor, Law Director, Finance Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on Monday, 1/9, immediately following Community Development meeting. All items referred. Finance, request the Mayor, Law Director, Finance Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on Monday, 1/9, immediately following the joint meeting. All items referred. Utility Safety Environment, request the Law Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on Wednesday, 1/11, 6 p.m. All items referred. And Strategic Planning, request the Mayor, Safety Service Director, Finance Director, and Law Director on Tuesday, 1/17, immediately following council meeting.
Miscellaneous and unfinished business.
We have one item, the matter of accepting the council meeting calendar for the year of 2023.
Ms. Mitchell?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to accept the calendar.
Second.
Second by Mr. Lippian. Is there any further discussion?
Question?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Hearing no other further business, can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Sarah, second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. This meeting is adjourned.
Happy New Year, Mr. Callahan.